Hi there. I'm Matthew Browning. I'm 41 years old. I've been driving since 2003, so that puts me at 16 years this September of 19. I have been with 4 different driving companies and 2 driving schools over my 16-year career. I got into trucking because in 2003 I had a on-the-job accident, and while I was on time off, I was a little bit depressed and having some down time, and I had a buddy who called and explained that he'd become an over-the-road driver not too long out of high school, and essentially told me the same thing. Hey, why don't you get paid to come see the country? And I guarantee more than one of us has heard that pitch from a recruiter. Yeah, let's get paid to see the country, just like the Army says paid to see the world and Navy says paid to see the world. Well, I bit that hook, line, and sinker and went to driving school, got my CDL in 2.5 weeks, and beginning of September 19 started my driving career. As far as accomplishments go, I haven't kept track of a whole lot of unusual little things. I think most of us as drivers know where we've driven. I've got 47 out of 48 states of the lower states. I don't have Vermont. And I've got the main 6 southern Canadian provinces that I've driven in. Had a 6-year safe driving award with Werner, my first carrier. Was nominated for Trainer of the Quarter with them by my dispatch team, and had what they called the 50K club for 5 or 6 years, which essentially meant I made $50,000 per year before bonuses or any extras, which is an awesome thing when you're the one getting the paycheck and it matters for your production. But as far as safety things go, a lot of drivers nowadays would scoff and say, yeah, that's rookie money. I mean, as far as the rest of my accomplishments go, one day at a time is an accomplishment. Being a safe driver and being able to lay your head down at the end of the night is an accomplishment. So being able to say I've made it 16 years and I'm still in the industry, I'm still in pretty darn good health, and I've got a fairly clean driving record. Most of us, that's the best we can ask for. I'm probably fairly close to 2 million miles at this point, and I'm not even close to being able to say it's all accident free. I'm one of those realistic people that if you're not having an accident or a safety incident, it's just you didn't get caught yet, or you didn't get caught up into it. Driving conditions, yeah, we've been everywhere and we've done everything, right? Every one of us that's trying for this interview is saying we've done it all. My extremes, of course, anybody can claim they've been in southern Texas, down to Laredo to the border at 115 degrees in the shade. Western Colorado, Western California desert's the same way. Hot weather's no shock. I grew up in Missouri, so tornadoes don't bother me. Midwestern thunderstorms don't bother me. I've never been in or near a hurricane, but normally it's because the companies I've worked for, when we knew they were coming, unless you were part of the recovery team that was staging nearby with supplies, you didn't go anywhere near it, and they intentionally kept us away from it. Wasn't scared of them, just didn't have a reason to be there. The extremes that I can honestly say I've run is having wintered over in North Dakota. I got to spend a couple years in North Dakota as part of an oil field crew, driving pneumatic bulked sand hauler and running frac sand out to the pads. And that's definitely challenging to have it. The weather was just part of life. You sit down, shut up, and drive. We ran guys off because they went, oh, if it's snowing too bad, I'm not going to drive. You don't get that call. If you truly are unsafe, then you tell the boss, and if enough senior drivers say it's unsafe, then the boss says, okay, we probably ought to shut down. Otherwise, we ran until either the customer's pad shut down or until the highway department or the sheriff's department shut the road down. As long as they let us keep going, we kept going, unless it was a blizzard. And there's nothing quite as reality check on how bad and cold the weather is as being stuck out in the middle of nowhere waiting for an oil field pad to come back up and realizing that your bathroom facility is a little blue house that's 150 yards away, And to use it, you have to put on 4 layers of clothes, including fire-resistant clothing and steel-toed boots and a hard hat and ear protection and eye protection, and then trudge your way through the blizzard and then get in the little plastic house and sit on the seat for 30 seconds while you start undoing your clothes so that it hopefully thaws out the plastic a little bit. And then you don't do that very often. You make sure it's 1 or 2 trips a day, because that's a very cooling experience. Interesting encounters, yeah, the same kind of thing. I never was one for big heroics. You know, if somebody's got a problem on the side of the road, I'll call on the radio and make sure they've got help on the way, or stop just long enough to say, hey, have you got cell phone service? Do you need help? If you got help coming. As mean as it is to say, my interesting encounters are normally on a daily basis dealing with the traffic around me, which sadly it is every now and then another truck driver that has made my life difficult, but most of the time it's the general motoring public, because they don't get it. We could put out thousands of hours of public safety announcements and commercials, and they just won't get it until they have a family member that it affects, or until they've done it themselves. They don't understand that, you know, I'm an 80,000 pound semi-ballistic missile. If you cut in front of me and brake check me and take my safety buffer, all I've got is physics, and the physics of 48,000 pounds worth of liquid sloshing around behind me on a wet load. Sir Isaac Newton says, you're little, you're going to lose, and I'm going to lose my career. So odds are, as mean as it is to say, the motoring public gets away with a lot of the things they get away with around big trucks, not because we're being polite, sadly, not because we're being the old-fashioned knights of the road, sadly, but because at the end of the day, I value my personal safety and my career over proving a point that you as the motoring public are driving like an idiot. What can I drive? You name it, I can drive it. In Colorado, where I have my license, I have a Class A with P2STN endorsements, which means that I can drive a school bus, I can drive a passenger rig as long as it's Class B or smaller. I can drive a Class A or vehicle, which is the biggest they come. I can drive a combination tractor and trailer vehicle. I can drive anything with air brakes. I can drive tankers. I can drive doubles and triples. The only thing I don't have on the Colorado system is I don't have my hazmat, because my company doesn't haul it, so I don't see a reason to keep it up. And I don't have a motorcycle endorsement. But other than that, you name it, I can drive it. What have I driven? Before I got into my CDL, I drove fire trucks and ambulances as a volunteer firefighter and a paid EMT. I've driven school buses, conventional tractors with trailers that are dry-van, 45, 48, 53-foot dry-van, 48, 53-foot refrigerated, 48-foot flatbed, 45, 48-foot dry bulk pneumatic tankers, and 5,000 and 7,500 gallon wet tankers. In the oil field, I helped pull oversized, what we called a mountain mover. So it was a big old piece of equipment that was about 12 foot wide and 13 flat tall, and probably 60 or 70 feet long, it felt like. It was, the biggest issue with it was ungodly wide, and it was overweight before we even put any freight in it. We had to haul them empty. What's a good driver made of? 2 big things: patience and perseverance. Patience, because if you are impatient, you're going to fail out here, pure and simple. You have to be patient. You're going to have every day wake up expecting it to be a bad day, and when it proves you wrong, be happy. Getting upset at traffic won't make it move any faster. Getting upset at your shipper or receiver won't make you get loaded or unloaded any faster. Screaming at a mechanic certainly won't get your truck fixed any faster. Yelling at a dispatcher won't get you a load sooner. It goes back to more flies with a can of honey or a jar of honey than a can of vinegar. You're not going to get anywhere in trucking with an impatient attitude. You can have it if you want it, but it's not going to get you anywhere. And then perseverance, because it's not enough to just be patient. You have to be patient over and over and over again. And you do. You have to persevere. You have to get through another bad day at the dock, another day that something broke down, another day of stupid traffic. My best friend who drives a truck, 2-3 years into his career, was involved in a bad wreck where someone blew a red light and pulled out in front of him and someone died. And that man gets up every day and still drives a truck. And I don't know how. There are people who have done that, and I don't know how they've done it. But it's perseverance. You have to know it's another day of the same problems. What kind of personality do I have? I'm kind of a jerk. Anybody who really knows me will say that I am a selectively social jerk. I have my friends that I talk to all the time, and I enjoy being social with them. I'm close with the family members I'm close with and the friends I'm close with. I'll lend a hand to a driver who's obviously in need, that's willing to acknowledge that they need the help. But if they're going to be a jerk, I won't. If we're unloading or loading at the same place and they seem to be struggling, and I go up to them and say, "Hey driver, how you doing?" And they go, "I'm fine." Well, have a great day. Smile and walk on. But if you walk up to somebody and say, "Hey driver, how you doing?" and they just look like they want to cry and they go, that's when you smile and tell them, "You know what? Here, this is what I would do if I were in your shoes. Do you mind if I touch your equipment? Do you mind if I help you out?" Don't ever touch another guy's rig without asking him, but yeah, that's just the personality I've got. The people who I love and care about and I'm friendly with, I'm great with. The ones that I don't, hell with them. Toughest part of being a driver? It's a combination of the perseverance earlier. You've got to have a reason to get up and go every day. Everybody's is different. Mine's my kiddos and my family at home. Being gone. Not every driver's gone all the time. I'm an over-the-road driver. My company allows us to go home about every 2 to 3 weeks with a day to a day and a half off for every week you're out. Because of where I live, it's hard to get in and out with freight, and my wife understands that I choose to be gone about 6 or 7 weeks at a time, and then we'll enjoy a full week and a half off and have a little mini vacation. We are leaps and bounds from where we were with the old dogs and the old timers, where you sat down at a table phone and you called home while you had your dinner and mom was waiting by the phone because that's all you got was a phone call once a day. I'm on the phone off and on all day with my wife whenever she's got time and I've got time. We've got obviously video phones and FaceTime and video chat and whatever apps that I don't know all of them, but yeah, I've got a security camera. I can literally log in and look at my kids and help watch my son in his bassinet at 4 months old. That you'd have never had anything like that 2, 5, 10, God, no way, 20 years ago. But you're still not there. So that's another hard part of it, is what are you sacrificing and missing? I've always told guys you can balance 3 things. How much money do you have to make? How hard are you willing to work? And how often do you have to be home? Because I've never met a guy who can be home every night, do no work at all, and be rich driving a truck. If he's out there, I'd gladly love to hear from him so I know how to join up. But you're going to sacrifice one of them. And at the moment, with my wife's help, we're sacrificing being home. I'm not working ridiculously hard. I'm making pretty darn good money, but we're not home. So that's got to be at the top of the list of the hardest part of being a truck driver, is that missing things, but it couples with the perseverance. You got to find that reason to get up and go every day. So I think I answered all the questions. If I didn't, then I guess somebody will tell me. So have a great day.